Brazil is a place deeply rooted in sporting history, and motorsports is no exception. They got many wonderful tracks over in Brazil, and we have one of the best here on iRacing in laser scan form for everyone to enjoy. It's the Autódromo José Carlos Paz in Interlagos, in the massive urban area of Sao Paulo. Today, we are racing Formula 3 cars at this track. It's the Oceanic Sim Racing Formula 3 Championship from Interlagos here on SimSpeed TV. We hope you are enjoying yourselves. This is going to be an excellent night of racing as per usual. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me once again, David Haynes. David, it's time for Formula 3 once again, and it's a pretty simple setup.
Yep, exactly. 25 laps. It's going to give us some great racing. Got a very healthy grid, 31 drivers. That's a great number of cars for this race. And we're going to have one compulsory pit stop for a full 4 tyres change at some point during the pit window, lap 2 to lap 24. So a big wide window, but these drivers do have to decide on their strategy when they're going to change those tyres.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And at a track like this, it's definitely not an easy decision to make. Interlagos, a track with many varied corners and lots of elevation change. It's an incredibly difficult track to get right. It's all about carrying momentum, having some good brakes on that car of yours so that you can put some moves on in those hairpins, but also keep the car nice and stable with some straight line speed added in those long straights.
Yeah, precisely. We've got the 2 longest straights here. One is the pit straight coming all the way uphill. Slipstream will be very strong there. And also from turn 3 to turn 4, that's also a point where the cars reach quite a high speed. But then the middle sector and some of the final sector, quite a few tight hairpins, some up and down elevation there. You need a lot of balance in the car through those sections of the track, but you can't afford to crank too much wing on, or you'll be an absolute sitting duck towards the finish line.
Yeah, you absolutely will, and you'll be getting some major understeer in those quick corners in the middle of the lap. We've got a fairly good field here tonight, in excess of 30 Formula 3 cars jetting their way around here, and in the past couple of rounds that we've broadcast on SimSpeed TV, we've had some interesting incidents all throughout the field that have put what should have been contenders out of said contention. Aaron Lee was looking really good to win the last round at Okayama after he dominated Brands Hatch, but unfortunately many drivers caught up in incidents, which meant that taking victory was Scott Newton.
Yep, exactly. It's not an easy car to drive, is this open-wheeler Dallara Formula 3 car. It's not a touring car, it's not a GT car. If you tangle wheels with someone else, it will not end well, probably for either of you. So the attrition rate's been a little bit higher than maybe what we see in some other series, but that's just how these cars are, and they really reward a driver who can just keep their head above water over this race distance. If you can keep your dramas to a minimum, a good result could be had for anyone.
Yeah, it certainly could. That's exactly right. And these F3 cars, as twitchy as they are, as borderline as they are in terms of their handling, it's not exactly an easy thing to do around a track like this.
Yeah, and thinking about some of the curbing around the circuit as well, that's the kind of stuff that will upset a very low ride height, low sprung car like this. There's a few places where you can carry just a bit too much speed, go over a bit too much curb, and you might bottom out and find yourself spinning around at high speed. And it's a car that's very difficult to catch once you have got yourself into a bit of a slide.
Yeah, that's right. At a track like this, it's got a reasonably smooth surface, has Interlagos, but it can get very slippery, especially when you're right behind another car, which you're definitely going to be on laps 1, 2, possibly 3, depending on how the field separates out. Well, there we go. The warm-up session is now over. We're going to get ready to go racing here at Interlagos in the Oceanic Sim Racing Formula 3 Championship. As we get into this 25-lap race session, the grid will be as follows. Scott Newton, last round winner on pole position with Dane Warren close behind in second. Aaron Lee and Emily Jones on the second row with Gary Hamilton and Chris Owen following them. Ethan Warren and Adam Briggs on row 4. And on row 5, rounding out the top 10, Scott Cislovsky and Trevor Forster.
Starting from the 11th place, James McKee. 12th, SimSpeed's own Cam Dance. 13th, Sean Carron. 14th is Reese Keane. 15th, Thomas McConnell. 16th is Craig Newell. 17th is Dane Stockton. 18th, Guy Leach. 19th, Ryan Jones. And 20th is Scott Harvey.
Jackson Harlow for TTL Esports in 21st position with Craig Jones for CMR team in 22nd. Alex McKellar and Chris Barnes on the next row. Michael Skurlock and Warren Pickering as well as the revs rise. And we're getting ready to go green here at Interlagos. What will Scott Newton be able to do versus Dane Warren off the line? Warren got a good jump. Emily Jones with a good jump as well. Really good start by the two on the inside there up the front. The field fanning out as they go down into turn 1. Newton, oh no, a little bit of understeer from Newton. He lost quite a few positions from that, right from pole and losing positions rapidly. So Dane Warren is your current race leader. He's got a major gap. Now they go streaming through turn 3, the field. Have a look behind Gary Hamilton. That's quite the pack of cars. Chris Owen almost going to the grass on the inside, but thinking better of it as they go into turn 4. A little bit of contact though. Chris Owen gets Aaron Lee. Lee spins around. There's a couple of cars spinning out of there. David, there's chaos here.
Yeah, exactly. The tyres are very cold on a race start here. The car's very, very twitchy. Scott Newton's found that. Aaron Lee's found that. And now Scott Newton's gone for another spin and been collected by who's that? 2 different cars.
Going to grab a CPR Kart Parts replay of that one. Newton actually lost it on his own coming into that turn, so the race setup not to his liking, and hitting him was Reese Keane and then Ryan Jones.
And your biggest winner here, Damon Stockton, is already up 11 positions into 6th place from 17th on the grid. Wow. And that is what we said, just avoiding those dramas, staying out of trouble. And Scott Newton right now absolutely trying to limp that thing back to the pits, but it is bent all kinds of direction.
Absolutely, and that is just making things even more difficult to determine in the championship hunt, because you got to remember, this series I think has a habit of taking out drivers that are in contention for wins and good positions. Well, Dane Warren is the one leading at the moment from Emily Jones, from Gary Hamilton and Chris Owen. It's nice and spread out there up at the top, which those drivers will definitely be enjoying. But side by side in the background, Cameron Dance versus Scott Cislovsky. Dance going for the move at turn 4. That is one of the prime overtaking spots here on this circuit, and Dance is demonstrating that.
Yeah, exactly. But up the hill, a little bit of a run back from Scott Cislovsky. He's a wise enough head to not stick his front wing in that gap that was always going to close. But you're absolutely right. Turn 4, key overtaking opportunity, and Dane Warren's around.
Oh, no. That's our leader of, our former race leader. CPR Car Parts replay on screen right now of that. And once again, losing it on his own over the curb. Just a little bit of a lock of the rears, I think, and around he went. These cars are proving very difficult to handle in these opening laps.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's gone and collected Dane Warren there. And it was Damon Stockton who was off to such a great start but couldn't avoid that spinning Dane Warren. So that's shaken it absolutely up. And Emily Jones has inherited the lead, but with the tiniest of margins over Gary Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton's on a bit of a charge right now. I think he's recognised there's a lot of people falling victim to their own cars in this race so far. And if Gary can keep it together, he might be able to snatch a win here. But Emily Jones, we know she has got fantastic pace in these cars. She managed to get an awesome finish at the last round at Okayama, despite her issues getting involved in a couple of incidents herself. So we know that both of these drivers in the lead, in the top 2 positions, very capable of good results, but we'll have to wait and see, because have a look behind them. Chris Owen and Adam Briggs are really starting to close up. This is almost a proper train now.
Exactly. Last lap around, Gary Hamilton was the fastest lapper out there. And the pit window is now open. So some of those cars that we saw get involved in some issues, well, they can come onto pit lane, do their mandatory stop, take their spare car of sorts, and they might not be entirely out of it if they can just avoid any more trouble for the remaining race, which probably is a little bit of a difficult ask, but mathematically still in the chance for some good results.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's at this stage in the championship, we're in the mid-stage of the series now. It's all about getting points. It's all about making sure that you minimize your damage. Adam Briggs, I think, had a little bit of an issue there in the second half of that lap because he's dropped off the back of these three up the top. And Chris Owen right on the back of Gary Hamilton now.
Yep, second place. That's heating up as Emily Jones has found a little bit of pace. But the slipstream is going to be so critical here. Gary Hamilton is right in it, goes to the inside, can't get deep enough on the brakes into Desida Delago. And Emily Jones will hold on to the lead, but this makes Hamilton vulnerable to Chris Owen.
Certainly does. One thing you've got to consider about that particular turn is that the track narrows up on the exit. So if you're going to put a move on someone, you have to make sure that you assert yourself. Unfortunately, Gary Hamilton not up far enough to get the move done. Jones making a mistake, just going a bit too hard into that first hairpin. That's allowed Hamilton and Owen to catch up to her, using all of the curb through the slowest turn on the circuit.
Briggs has pulled himself back into this as well.
He actually has. And this battle for the top four continuing to heat up. Now, will any of these drivers take their mandatory pit stop early, or will they all try and stay out as long as they can? Jones, you can see, under major threat here from Hamilton. She is not going to go for the pits. That's the frustrating thing about Interlagos. You never quite know who's going to go for the stop, but Gary Hamilton now in front. Jones going to try and come back at him, though, holding the inside through the first turn, and Emily Jones reclaims the lead. That's a fantastic move.
Yep, very well done. Solid defense. Looks like she's got a car that's not as quick in a straight line necessarily, but she's doing very well through the slower corners beyond the fences. Once again, Hamilton will come back, and this time he's got the inside.
Yeah, definitely done everything he needs to there. Emily Jones now under major pressure from Chris Owen. Have a look at the run she's actually got up here, though. Her car seems to perform really well in the draft. Chris Owen going to the outside here through the double right. He's almost going to get it done. Can he hold it? No, he's just going to get caught in the marbles slightly, and he's going to have to yield second place to Jones now. But I'll tell you what, all this battling has brought Adam Briggs right back into this.
Right, a fantastic battle for the top four, which I don't really want to tear my eyes away from, but there's great battles all the way down the field, and I'm thinking about 7th place. Yeah. Warren Pickering leads an absolute glut of cars. Sorry, Jackson Suzlin-Harlow's got his way back through that. So Harlow leads Pickering, leads Forster, leads McKee, and Reese Keane and Guy Leach on the back of that as well. That's a phenomenal battle just at the bottom of the top 10.
Certainly is, and Harlow actually going wide across the curb onto the grass. So he is going to lose all of those positions. Big shame for him. Dane Warren retiring from the race. Another big shame for him. So now Warren Pickering resumes the lead of this train as Trevor Forster behind him jumps into the pits. So Forster, one of the first cars here to make a scheduled pit stop. We'll have to wait and see what Forster can do. He's actually performed quite well so far here. Maybe this early pit stop can help him. Kozlowski with damage.
Yeah, well, it was 5th place, but Scott Kozlowski is missing the whole front wing assembly off that thing. We're going to get a replay of how that happened, Rick.
Yeah, and that is a real shame what happened to Kozlowski there. Just losing it on the curb in the middle of turn 1 and straight into the wall. There was the nose gone.
Sympathy spin with Adam Briggs, who also had a spin in front of him. Was just trying to potentially rejoin the circuit at the same time. That
oh no, Hamilton! Hamilton with damage. His rear wing is gone. What's going on? Time for another replay, David. What happened here?
So I will have a quick look at that. Another car from the top 4 with some damage. He's done that into the first hairpin, potentially by himself over the top of the hill. Huge snap of oversteer, and then snap back the other way, and he couldn't save it. So this car's looking incredibly twitchy out there, Reese.
Yeah, certainly. Gary Hamilton, I think, orders of magnitude more twitchy now that he doesn't have a rear wing on the back of that thing, keeping it stable. So in the midst of all of this, Emily Jones and Chris Owen have kept their cool. They are now 1-2 in this one, with Cameron Dance making his way through turn 3 just ahead of recovering Adam Briggs. So that's your top 4 right now. Meanwhile, Warren Pickering and James McKee having a right old battle here. Pickering on the way through for Fusion Sim Racing versus James McKee. He's managed to get that done nicely, but have a look at who's coming back here. Guy Leach almost having a go at James McKee.
He tucks right into the draft, threw the car towards the inside, but again decided it wasn't worth trying to break too deep, risking the contact. Warren Pickering gets a little bit of reprieve as McKee and Leach try to battle, but he's not getting away this time as they get through the most twisty section of the corner. It's sort of right-hand hairpin follows left-hand hairpin, then another right-hand hairpin. And this is where a little bit more downforce, a little bit more balance will really help you compared to the long straights where you want to trim the wing out for.
Yeah, certainly. Mechanical grip certainly helps in this section of the track as well. Unfortunately, the Formula 3 doesn't have much in the way of mechanical grip, being a low-level open wheeler designed to ease young drivers into competing in higher-level open wheel categories. So the drivers are really struggling. Some of the best sim racers in our community have been struggling to fully get their heads around these cars.
Yeah, exactly. So Pickering might become a bit of a sitting duck in the straight line this time. Earlier on the brakes than McKee, who goes very, very deep, can't make it around the outside of turn 1. And in the background, Leach really tries to set up an exit through Curva de Sol. Doesn't quite make it work. But this time McKee will get a lot closer to Pickering.
Yeah, this may be a move. He's pulling out, letting Pickering know what he's doing, but he's not actually committing to the move. Those are the psychological tactics that we talk about all the time here at SimSpeed TV. It always rears its head at least once in a race. Have a look at this battle. Very close now. Leach all over the back of McKee, wanting to get that move done. These guys are well and truly aware that thanks to issues in front of them, they are now competing for spots, possibly in the top 5.
A lot of points on offer, and Warren Pickering, you said, absolutely charging through the field. Well, he's up 21 spots for his qualifying position. That is huge in the first 8 laps of this race. Coming from deep in the field, 26th, to now be leading this train for 5th. Solid effort. And the last couple of laps, he has managed to fend off McKee and Leach behind. Again, though, McKee gets a great pull down the front stretch.
Yeah, it certainly does, and this might be the move here. Pickering going defensive, but the problem with these front turns at Interlagos is they are very easy to go around the outside of, but McKee not going for that opportunity there. It is still pretty early in the race. He probably sees it fit better to go around a more conservative way. You can see he's just not got the pace there when he doesn't have the draft.
Yep, and closing up right behind them with a lot of pace is Aaron Lee. 2 rounds ago at Brands Hatch. Had a difficult start to this race, but his car looks good. He's got great pace, and he's now looking for some redemption, put himself back in the top 5. He's right up behind Guy Lee.
Yeah, certainly is, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when if he comes up to Pickering. Those guys, Aaron Lee and Warren Pickering, former teammates when they were both at Redback Racing Team. So, oh no! Goodness me! Scott Harvey and Guy Leach both having issues there. Big old twitch from Guy Leach.
Yeah, it's not even a particularly hot track out there. We're just under 30 degrees Celsius track temperature, but they're skating around like it's the surface of the sun.
Yeah, certainly, and one of the drivers that has made the best of it, Cameron Dance, is now facing immense pressure from the number 72 of Adam Briggs. Briggs not able to carry quite as much mid-corner or exit speed as Dance does, but you can see in the braking zones, Briggs is really pushing it.
Yeah, they approach turn 4. Cam Dance turns in very well through the apex, carries the speed through there. Briggs is still with him, and it's closed up a bit more for the lead as well. Emily Jones had a second and some over Chris Owen. That's closed down to 4/10, so there's battles everywhere we look in the top 10. No exaggeration.
Yeah, certainly. There's literally everywhere you look, there's some kind of fight going on. All through the field, I'm looking at 15th and 16th, Sean Carron and Thomas McConnell having a bit of a fight here. McConnell just pulling out of putting a move on there on Carron, but those guys both maintaining their position from the start. So I think that's the one of the biggest ways of staying out of trouble, is just maintaining your position, because if you do what some of the guys in this field have done and absolutely push your way through the field, avoid incidents and all that sort of stuff, you're still sort of technically putting yourself in danger.
Yeah, Cam Dance is under pressure for the final spot on the podium. Adam Briggs goes to the inside of turn 1. Dance will try and hold it around the outside into turn 2. He does that. They're still side by side into turn 3. Briggs just gets it after 3 corners. Dance will slot back into the slipstream. Could it be the same again in turn 4, Reed?
Oh, certainly could. Dance right alongside here of Adam Briggs, and Briggs yielding on the entry to turn 4, struggling to maintain grip a little bit, was the number 72, but he's managed to keep it going. Dance seems awfully calm and collected at the moment.
And that's the way you'd probably have to drive it at this point, is really just don't risk going over the limit, getting those twitches, sliding the car, because you can't save it. So if he's just content to drive 98%, then that will be smooth, and smooth will be fast. And here's how quickly we're flying along. We're not too far away from half race distance, which is when we've typically seen a lot of drivers opt for their tyre change.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of, let's check out our leaders to see if they go into the pits. No, they're going to avoid it one more time. Miss Jones and Mr. Owen. And these two have really closed up now, but it's not a huge battle going on as Briggs actually goes for the pits there. So I think he's gotten a little sick of battling with Dance, and he wants to try his hand a little bit, see if he can get an undercut of some sort, and get himself some space out on track. Meanwhile, an overtake for the lead. Chris Owen and Emily Jones have swapped positions there.
I think Chris Owen had been right up behind for quite a little bit, just being patient and patient. Must have found the right window, the right time, and maybe decided, I want to grab the track position before the pit stops, so I can be certain I come out of the pits with the lead. Might have been content to just drag along for a couple of laps. Now he's decided, pit stop time, track position time.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we'll see if we can expect him in this lap. We've got another retirement in the form of Michael Skurlock. He was not having a good run. Actually, he was a reasonable amount up. He was running in 13th position last time he crossed the line. So it's a bit of a shame to see, but drivers continuing to drop like flies here.
Yeah, indeed, but our two leaders are not dropping into the pit lane, so Chris Owen, Emily Jones stay out. Cam Dance might consider pitting. No, he stays out. So Adam Briggs trying for an undercut on Cam Dance to try and grab that final spot on the podium. And then deeper in the field, Warren Pickering, James McKee still battling it out as McKee decides it's pit stop time. Getting very busy on that pit lane now, Reese.
Yeah, certainly is. And this pit lane at Interlagos is definitely one of the more interesting ones we go to. It doesn't follow the lie of the land in terms of elevation change that the start-finish straight does. It's got a big rise on entry, and then it's completely flat for the rest of the way until you get to the exit. James McKee absolutely revving that engine to its maximum. Keeping it a little bit warm, I suppose, but he is out. And along with him, we've got Chris Barnes and Simon Black going through the pits, but it was a longer pit stop time than most was James McKee's.
Yeah, and he's going to merge out right near Damon Stockton as well, who's got a little bit of a run on him, maybe just too far back. It's a tricky pit exit here. It really it's part of the racing circuit almost. There's a couple of corners to it, and you're losing time if you don't take them as fast as you can. But there's walls right there, and it's very narrow. So it's a difficult pit exit on cold tires.
Yes, indeed. And as we speak, Chris Owen into the pits. Emily Jones staying out, but our second place man jumping in. So obviously they must have switched places back at some point. So Chris Owen, that was a very quick stop there from him.
Exactly. We saw 12 seconds from James McKee, but just 6.5 seconds from Chris Owen there. He gets back out and he gets rolling, and he will come out ahead of Warren Pickering, who hasn't pitted yet. So he's not going to have too much traffic to deal with, having been put back a little bit in the field by taking his pit stop when he had.
Yeah, but this is the thing that Owen has to consider now. He's got tyres that are cold, that aren't quite up to optimum pressure. Warren Pickering has been out on these tyres for quite some time as Guy Leach makes his way out of pit lane here.
After a very long stop. So I think a 15-second hold for speeding in the pit lane for Guy Leach there, because his stationary time was 22 seconds. This is very costly for the number 46 driver, who's going to come out right with the 3.51 of Simon Black.
Yeah, very close between these two. And Guy Leach and Simon Black, no strangers to each other. They've been on the iRacing service for longer than just about any members from the AusNZ SimSphere. These guys were here almost at the very start. So they have been around each other for a long time as Jones takes her pit stop. We'll take a look at what her stop's like. 6.9 seconds for her. So Chris Owen just a little bit quicker. That's going to give him the edge he needs.
Yep, they might just come out of the pit lane side by side. Let's have a look. Chris Owen has just got it over Emily Jones, who immediately tucks into the slipstream, but she has got those cold tyres. Chris Owens had just one lap more to warm them up. Jones has got to be careful right now, but she can't afford to lose that drop.
No, certainly cannot. It's absolutely paramount at a circuit like this. Those long straights, and with the amount of downforce that we've seen Emily Jones is running on that thing, definitely want to keep it as close, to the back of the car in front of you as you can. Now, I am curious to see how long Pickering stays out, because he's obviously going for this very long initial stint and then whacking on the tyres basically at the end of the race, I would presume, anyway. I could be proven wrong in a couple of corners.
Yeah, only a few drivers out there yet to have made their pit stop, like Cameron Dance, who stays out one more time, still leads the race, but expecting his pit stop will drop him back somewhere around 3rd or 4th place. But yeah, most 90% of the field having taken their pit stop. Only a few holdouts, and they are Cam Dance, Warren Pickering, and Alex John.
Yeah. Speaking of Alex John, there he goes into the pits right there, carrying sponsorship on the rear wing for the Top Split podcast that is run within the iRacing community. So we'll have to see how he went. That was a 6.5 second stop from John, so he's actually probably going to come out in a pretty good position here.
Yep, he's following out Marty Hansen, who's down in 24th place, a couple laps off, but still out there circulating. So Alex John is going to come out what I think is 9th place. So he's still up 19 positions on where he qualified. A good run from him. Maybe just staying out longer in that first stint, let him find some track position, just pump in some laps at his own pace. And now he's got James McKee who's going to try and catch him to take that position away. But overall, not a bad strategy from Alex John as we wait to see when does Cam Dance and when does Warren Pickering pit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, Dance, as we speak, he goes in. So Warren Pickering now, we're going to keep an eye on to see if he follows Dance in. Yes, there we go. Warren Pickering into the pits. So the field is once again cleansed. Cameron Dance his stop, 6.9 seconds. Warren Pickering's stop, how long is this one going to be? Oh, 7.5. That's not an optimal time. He may lose out.
Dan's going to come out side by side with Briggs. This is your battle for the final step on the podium, and Dan comes out, but Briggs is immediately into the slipstream. Already warmed up tyres, goes to the inside of turn 4. I think Cam Dance knows not the time to fight it right now, but he was racy in the first stint, so I'm sure he'll wait, he'll use the slipstream, he'll warm up those tyres. He'll have a juicy battle for third, like we've also got for the lead, Emily Jones staying within that 1 second of Chris Owen as well. So all spicy, all great racing at the top of the field.
Yep, exactly right. Top of the field has been fantastic throughout this race. Some good racing to be had amongst everyone here. Speaking of the lead, Chris Owen and Emily Jones. Jones has not caught up to Owen as much as I probably thought she would.
Was a second and a little bit more off the lead earlier. She's now 6/10, following in the slipstream as they come across the start-finish line. So she's absolutely within range of picking up the very significant slipstream in these cars. They've got all kinds of aero appendages on them, but not a massive amount of horsepower. So we'll have a look at Cam Dance and third place, because Dance is trying to hold the inside. He's managed to grab third place, Reese.
Yeah, he has. So obviously that's enough warm-up time for the tyres for Mr. Dance. He's going to try and defend now from Briggs. Have a look, he just goes straight over, and Briggs, oh goodness me, trying every little bit of road he absolutely can. And Dance caught out by that, losing the rear.
Wow, that's massively unfortunate. He's just probably pushed too hard there. Try and stay with Briggs, who saw one Dallara F3 width to the inside and his car in there. He's now got quite a little bit of a gap backwards to fourth place Cam Dance, who's going to have to fend off a previous race winner, Aaron Lee.
Yes, indeed, and Aaron Lee is no slouch when it comes to pace and when it comes to forceful racing. Making his way up to 5th place, and he will be able to almost grab 4th if he plays his cards right. Aaron Lee, of course, qualifying in 3rd. This will be a good recovery drive from him if he can make this work.
And there's a battle for the lead here, because Emily Jones has gotten that slipstream. She's gone to the inside of turn 1. Can't break as deep as Chris Owen, who holds it around the outside, gives him the inside for turn 2. And Emily Jones runs a little bit wide. They're going to go side by side down the straight towards turn 4. Fantastic racing that first sector produced.
Yeah, certainly does. And Owen moving to the middle of the road. Both of these drivers searching for a bit of space here. Owen stays in front though, for now.
Yep, Emily Jones didn't quite have the nose to the inside, decided to stay out of it for now, but certainly ramping up the pressure on Chris Owen in this second stint of the race.
Yes, indeed. And Emily Jones was the fastest car on track last lap, doing a 25.981. But Owen has the honour of being the fastest car on track all race. Ran a 25.6. So both of these drivers capable of some very quick lap times, but Jones has a bit of an edge right now.
Yeah, it's partly cloudy skies at Interlagos today, and there's just a little bit of cloud cover right now. It's going to affect the track temperatures just a tiny bit. We might see some quick laps in the final 6 laps of this race, as Emily Jones is right back in that slipstream again, down the pit straight. This time Chris Owen still stays to the outside, and Jones is once again 2 laps in a row to the inside of turn 1.
Yep. Owen nice and deep on the brakes though, leaves a bit of a car width for Emily Jones, and Jones is able to go through this time, but will it be for long? Chris Owen has got the slipstream now, and Jones running that higher downforce package, sitting duck in a straight line, some sparks coming off the rear, and have a look at how deep Owen goes under brakes.
Yeah, precisely. That one right now. They come up towards the twistier bits where we expect the advantage goes towards Emily Jones, but nothing is for sure. Especially we've seen that in this race early on. Plenty of people having trouble spinning the car through some of these corners. Jones just picking up less understeer with the descending corner there. But Chris Owen, I think, will have a great shot back at her down the front stretch.
Certainly will. While we're looking at that, Warren Pickering versus Jackson Harlow now. These guys have gotten super close. Harlow actually almost putting a move on Pickering at turn 4, but not able to quite get it done. So Pickering under some immense pressure. He's not only got Harlow to contend with, but also James McKee.
Yeah, Jackson Suzlin Harlow showed a lot of pace through this race and through this series, but we saw him off track earlier. I think he's been for some spins as well, so he hasn't quite reflected the pace that he's got, but he goes to the inside of Jun Shao, doesn't get the drive off the exit. Now McKee is in the slipstream. They could almost go 3 wide. They haven't quite yet. Pickering is giving a drive to Harlow that'll just pull him clear. McKee maybe, and Harlow's looking, but can he stick his nose to the inside, and he can race.
Yeah, he certainly can. This is going to be a move here at turn 1. Will Pickering be able to hold on around the outside? They're nice and even in the braking zone. There's been a clean battle so far. These guys giving each other the right amount of room. Pickering, unfortunately, unable to maintain that momentum. Harlow is through. McKee may go through as well.
Yet Pickering's getting swallowed up like a dish at a buffet. McKee will get through, just try and hold it into turn 4. But that battling, I think, has let Jackson Harlow get a little bit clear. He has looked quick, but just a teeny bit incident prone. But maybe he's found his stride in the second half of the race.
Definitely seems that way as the drivers make their way past the lap car of David Mutton, running in 23rd position there. So that, I think, has settled that. Pickering was looking really good for a top 7, but unfortunately, Harlow and McKee getting the better of him there. Meanwhile, up the front, Jones and Owen, it's a bit of a stalemate between these two at the moment. No big moves being made, but you can see Owen is still very deep under the brakes.
4th place Cameron Dance is going to have to defend from Aaron Lee, who is absolutely charging later on. They're side by side for a long way here. Dance holds the inside, but you can hold it around the outside as well and make that work. And Aaron Lee holds the momentum there. Dance is going to have to get in the slipstream. Maybe they're side by side 3 corners in a row.
Good run there from Dance on the inside of turn 3. Aaron Lee not able to get the traction that he needed. So now Dance with the advantage going into this set of turns, and he is staying. Oh, Aaron Lee going off track there to try and maintain a bit of momentum. This could be a move on right here at the double right. Dance continuing to hold on around the outside. This is fantastic racing here. Just shows what you can do in a Formula 3 car. How long are these two going to stay side by side? This is getting ridiculous now.
Count them, Reese. 7 corners in a row. Will they make it 8? iRacing January top 10. Here we come. Dance still holds it around outside of Briggs, and then I'll give you inside to the next corner. I do not believe what I'm seeing. Dance will just get some overlap. Maybe he'll assume the racing line through the final corner. But you know what? That'll give a run out of the final corner to Aaron Lee. These guys, what on earth? They are fighting so hard for 4th place. They know there's only 3 laps to go. That was a beautiful passage of play.
It certainly was. That was a work of art right there from these two. But
will they do it again?
Yeah, it's probably going to continue. Hey, Dance on the inside into turn 1. Lee actually yielding a little bit. He's going to try and gear up for the exit here. I think he's a little bit sick of having to run those alternative lines, and he's thinking, nah, I'm just going to get in the slipstream and get by you at turn 4, mate. Dance is like, nope, I'm just going to stick to the inside. We'll see what happens here. Could this be a repeat of last lap? Let's find out, ladies and gentlemen. Cameron Dance versus Aaron Lee. It's happening again.
Lee once again on the exit of turn 4 using all of the surface, and then maybe a cheeky little bit more to keep his momentum. That gives him the inside up the hill, and that's that done for the moment, and he does manage to block off Cam Dance coming back at him in towards the hairpin. So Lee has grabbed 4th position, but Cam Dance, my goodness, is he racy, and is he fighting for every single position he can get. This is some of the best Formula 3 racing you will see, folks. This is fantastic stuff for 4th place, and there's still a battle for 1st place. They're about to have 2 laps to go.
Yes, indeed. Emily Jones actually has gapped Chris Owen in the last couple of laps while we were distracted by the tango that Mr. Dance and Mr. Lee were performing. Jones actually getting over the curb a little bit too much, ruined her momentum coming down the straight, so Owen might get up onto the back of her pretty soon.
Yeah, precisely. Still just a little bit further apart than they were, but my goodness, was Chris Owen deep on the brakes there.
Pickering's come back at Harlow. Sorry, I just checked back in the field in the lower reaches of the top 10, and Pickering going side by side with Harlow. Round the outside at turn 1, Warren Pickering, he's gotten the position back.
Harlow gets a big wobble. Pickering's going to get clear behind that. Someone's around Alex John. Alex John is trying to grab some of that slipstream off Jackson Susan Harlow, who's going to defend to the inside of turn 4. Closes back a teeny bit. I don't think the number 77 of Alex John can go around the outside, but great move by Warren Pickering, demonstrating why he deserves to be up 19 positions in this race.
Certainly. Fantastic stuff from those guys, and Pickering showing that he has got the fight in him to get positions back where he sees fit, but these battles still continuing as they...
White flag for Jones.
Yes.
Emily Jones crosses the start-finish line, 0.2 of a second clear of Chris Owen. The white flag's out, and Owen looks to the inside on the final lap. He'll get there. Jones will squeeze all the way down, have the apex for turn 2, and she carries the momentum, but she's going to defend so hard from Chris Owen, who knows it's the last lap, and I'm sure he wants that win.
Yeah, certainly, and I think Owen's very well judged his attack here. He's timed it very well, but Jones staying in the middle, giving him a car width on the outside. Owen takes him, but he's not able to maintain the momentum here. Now they come to the second and third sectors of the track. Fast turns followed by slow and slow and slow again. Will Owen be able to get it done here on Jones? He's trying to build up some kind of momentum, any kind of momentum that he can, but he's just not able to at the moment. He's trying his very best to get that slow and fast out going. Jones holding steadfast.
Chris Owen needs to be so close out of the final corner. He needs perfect drive out of this next corner. He needs to be right underneath there. He needs to use the slipstream towards the checkered flag. He might just be close enough. Emily Jones, I'm sure, will be weaving a basket left and right.
Oh, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? We might see a side-by-side photo finish here. Jones with some technical issues. Oh, look out, everybody. Oh, no. Jones is just going to beat out Chris Owen for victory here. Absolutely fantastic finish right there. It came down right to the wire, and it looks like the battle between Aaron Lee and Cameron Dance is going to work out in Aaron Lee's favour. A great fight back from the Brands Hatch race winner.
Yeah, and I think Forster and Pickering following them, but might have to look at Jackson Suzlin Harlow and Alex John. He's got a good run out of the final corner as well for 8th position, but I think Jackson Suzlin Harlow, the TTL driver, will just hold on to that 8th position. I tell you what, this race really turned it on in the second half race.
It absolutely did. That was some of the best racing I've ever seen from this series. Bravo to everybody for putting on that kind of show. That was awesome. Simon Black and Craig Jones making their way towards the finish line here. Craig Jones, another one of the drivers that has made up quite a few positions here, and just chasing down Simon Black, but not able to get the position at the end. And the last car on the lead lap is Craig Newell, who has just gone past Sean Caron, who's a lap down. Had a bit of a spin there, but Newell... unfortunate loss of 2 positions for him in the midst of all of this, but he gets to finish on the lead lap for his troubles.
Yeah, exactly. My mind is still blown by that battle we saw between Aaron Lee and Cameron Dance. For me, that was the highlight. I was like, someone's going to win this battle, right? No, side by side, near a whole lap.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, my mind is blown as well. Let's go through the race results. Emily Jones, your race winner. Chris Owen in second. Adam Briggs completes the podium. Aaron Lee and Cameron Dance fighting out for 4th and 5th there, with Trevor Forster, Warren Pickering, Jackson Suzlin Harlow, Alex John, and a bit of a disappointment for Gary Hamilton. Started 5th. He's going to have to settle for 10th.
11th place goes to Alex McCallum, who held off James McKee's 12th place. 13th, Damon Stockton. 14th, Simon Black, who we saw hold off Craig Jones, who grabs 15th place. 16th is Derek Mobbs. 17th, Thomas McConnell. 18th, Craig Newell. 19th, Reese Keane. And rounding your top 20 there is Joshua Andrew.
David Mutton makes it into 21st position from 32nd. Marty Hansen and Sean Caron behind him. Guy Leach, unfortunately, one of our retirements, and we are definitely going into the retirement zone now. Scott Harvey, Chris Barnes, Ryan S. Jones, Scott Newton, our pole sitter. What a shame for him. Didn't even make it to the finish. Michael Skurlock, Scott Silowski, Ethan Warren, and our second place starter, Dane Warren, falling victim in the first couple of laps. But that race turned into something very special.
Yeah, exactly. It just shows that it's not easy to drive this Formula 3 car, but when you find some drivers who can, my goodness, can the battling be intense and the racing exciting to watch.
Certainly, and we've got our podium in here for driver interviews. We'll go to our race winner first, Emily Jones. Emily, big congratulations. Is this your first win in this series, and how does it feel?
Yeah, it's my first win in, I think it's my second ever win in an OSR series after like a rallycross race I won once. So yeah, feels really good. And I had to work really hard for it. It was close at the end.
Were you running more downforce than most people?
I think so. So I was kind of playing around between two different sets in practice, and one of them had low downforce, and I ended up going up with the higher downforce set, which might have hurt me, but yeah, I found a way to make it work, I guess.
Excellent stuff. And obviously, this being your first victory in F3, second half of the season coming up, can we see more of this from you?
Yeah, I hope so. I wasn't really sure if I could back up the result from last week this week, and I had to work really hard for it. Like I think I did a lot of laps today in the practice server and just trying to get my head around it. And yeah, it was good. So maybe, I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens in the second half of the season. Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, any shout outs, Emery?
Shout outs to my love subscribers and my Twitch feed, following me on Twitch, but also to TTR. Like we've been going through lots of people leaving the team, and we're going through a bit of a rebuilding phase, and things are happening. So yeah, it's a really good feeling to get a win on board for TTR, especially heading into the season. I think everyone on the team at the moment is really excited. So yeah.
Excellent stuff. Emily Jones for Trans-Tasman Racing, your winner there. David, you are with the second place man, Chris Owen.
Well, Chris, 7/100ths of a second separating you from taking the big trophy, but it looked like a good race out there. What were your thoughts with the pit strategy and the compulsory pit stop?
The whole idea was to just pit before Emily, which I managed to do so, and then hopefully I could just warm up the tyres, which I did and managed to get out in front. And then over time, she was just too quick and got in front.
And now that we've seen the race play out, are you confident that your downforce settings in your setup was the best, or would there something you would have done different?
Well, I had no speed on the straights. Like even in the draft, I just couldn't seem to catch too much unless I was like, half a second behind, then I'd really get there. But if not, it was just, there just wasn't any speed on the straights. I felt like before the pits I had a bit of damage, but I'm not too sure.
Well, you still grabbed the fastest lap of the race of 1 minute 25.58. So you've got that to your name and the second place. We're going to see you again in the remaining rounds of the season, and do you think you can go one better?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's the goal. Finish first, so we'll see what happens.
All right, and any shout-outs, any thanks while we've got you on air?
Just to the team, ProTech Sim Sports, and obviously you guys. Thank you so much.
Well, there we go, Reese, that second place finisher, Chris Owen, and boy, was it a photo finish between those two.
Yep, certainly was. Unfortunately for Adam Briggs, it was a very distant third, but it was a third nonetheless. Adam, welcome. Looks like it was a really good result for you in spite of the dramas.
Yeah, I think I was really fortunate to actually be third. I spun partway into the sort of the beginning stint of the race, and yeah, I think I just got super lucky on a few things. As other people got unlucky, I got lucky. So, but yeah, I think I'll echo the other podium getters in saying that I think I was running too much downforce as well. Cam was absolutely a bullet in a straight line, and I didn't have anything for him. So.
Well, definitely you managed to make good on all of that. It does seem like, especially in the early stages of the race, we had quite a few front runners trip up. Have you thought as to why that might be?
I was experiencing probably something that I haven't experienced a lot before going into turn one, and I noticed this behind Emily. I just lost a lot of ability to pull the car up. I don't know if that's aero wash or whatever, but that's basically the reason why I made my mistake. And I can only imagine that what the others, as you know, at the start of the race, everyone's so close together. So I can only imagine that's probably the reason why.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. Well, nonetheless, you've continued a run of good results in this series with this podium. Now that we're at the midpoint of the season, we're looking, it's basically on the downhill stretch to the last round. Are more podiums your goal?
Yeah, look, we'll take any good result, any and every good result. And I think that if you're always aiming to achieve your best at every track you go to, that's the only thing you can ask from yourself. And if that means more podiums, then I'm ecstatic with that.
Excellent stuff, Adam. Before we let you go, who would you like to thank?
Yeah, look, DPR Racing, all the boys there, we share setup ideas in the practice sessions leading up to the event and during the event itself. We've also got Southall List and Hoists, BetSmart. We've also got Ben Max as well, who've been a big supporter of DPR for a long time. So I really like to thank those guys.
Adam Briggs there for DPR Racing. And finally, David, we have got Mr. Cam Dance in the commentary box. I know you've got a few questions for him.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Cam, look, third place looked like it was maybe on the cards for you for a little bit there, but after some of the racing we saw, can you really be disappointed with fifth place? It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed and didn't get on the podium. Unfortunately, had that whoopsie spin, just a little bit too much gas trying to get the over and under on Briggsy there. But no, it's been pretty good racing. I mean, to go side by side on numerous occasions with both Briggsy and also Aaron Lee was really, really good. Definitely enjoy it and made up for the spin, really.
And you would have heard Briggs saying that you were pretty quick in a straight line. Was that a deliberate setup decision, knowing that the long uphill straight on the pit straight here?
I actually had no idea whether I was going to have too much or too little downforce. Looking at qualifying, I thought I actually had too much, but in the end it actually seemed to be not too bad of a balance. I know there was a few corners through the infield where I was a little bit slower than some of the other front runners, but for the most part seemed to be fairly well balanced. So yeah, pretty pleased with that setup, so I'll keep that one in the bank.
Yeah, and a lot of guys and girl in this series like to try and split the race in half, take the tyres at around about the halfway point, but you went a lot longer than a lot of other people by a couple of laps. What was your thinking with that?
Mainly just try an overcut strategy. I mean, I've done it in the past few races so far, so it seems to be working. Obviously, the cold tyre disadvantage is a little bit of a hit and miss thing, but for the most part, the overcut seems to be working quite well, so I'll probably stick to the strategy for them.
And in coming rounds of the championship, do you think you'll be able to manage a full lap around side by side with someone?
Hope so. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. I know there's going to be a couple of good tracks that I'm looking forward to, so see what happens, and hopefully we get some really, really...
Yeah, well, good luck to you in the coming rounds. Shout outs and thanks.
Yeah, just like to thank the boys at TTL Esports and our sponsors, SimWorks, Race Simulations, Thigh Designs, and Down Under Graphics, and you guys, of course, for putting on an awesome...
Cool as well. That's everyone I think we've got to interview right now, Reese. It's just about time to wrap this one up. What a fantastic ramp.
Yeah, certainly. Best round of the season, in my opinion. The racing was fantastic. There was a good amount of drama, a lot of chances for people to shine that we don't usually see in these broadcasts. So all in all, really awesome round for the spectators. Commiserations, of course, to the drivers that lost out in this round. It certainly was heartbreaking to see some of the eliminations that we saw, but nonetheless, an excellent round once again. Thank you for joining me, David.
Always a pleasure, and I hope it's just as good next week.
Yep, certainly. Speaking of next week, it's certainly going to be a good one. We'll be here same time next week for the OSR Formula 3 Championship, and the fun does not stop on SimSpeed TV as per usual. We've got the Australian Online Supercar Championship tomorrow night on the iRacing Esports Network, so make sure that you pop in for that. We've got V8s at Donington all weekend, as a matter of fact. On Monday, we've got official iRacing V8 supercars at Donington. Then we have, on Wednesday, Rallycross and GTE, the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia. And then, same time next week, Alton Park International without the Britain's chicane. That is going to be an excellent one, David, for this series to visit next week.
Yeah, I think that'll have some of the same characteristics we've seen here. Some tight corners, some quick changes of direction, but also just enough slipstream, just enough draft to give us some good battles and keep some cars together in a pack.
Yes, indeed. Well, we hope to see you all there. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe to us here at SimSpeed TV. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter with the same name on all platforms. We hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you very much, David, for joining me. Thank you very much to Josh Nowak for his directorial duties. And we'll see you next time. This is the Oceanic Sim Racing Formula 3 Championship at Interlagos on SimSpeed TV.